All right. All right, guys. Hey, Soul Tribe, we're live. This is Chrissy, Real World
Hello.
Witness, and I'm here with my niece, Taylor. Hi, Taylor. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
Good. So we wanted to introduce Taylor basically. So, because of the way that the markets are and everything, and what's going on with the temperature of everything in the financial system, and she is very, very educated. She knows her shit when it comes to this stuff. So, I wanted to bring her on. So let's just start. Why don't you tell people a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so my name's Taylor, like she said, and I'm a real estate professional. I've been in the industry probably about a little bit over 5 years now. This is my first year actually doing being a real estate agent, but I used to do appraisals and then I worked a lot in investments as well. And yeah, so that's kind of a little bit of my background with my knowledge. I love real estate. Like it's just I live, eat and breathe it all day every day. I think it's like the number one way for us to build wealth and have, freedom in America. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and what was the main reason that you got into it?
Honestly, I've just always been attracted to it for a really long time and I really started kind of delving into okay, how can I become financially free, which started me delving into, I don't
Mhm.
know if a lot of people on here, I read a lot of Robert Kiyosaki, and that kind of got me on a journey of, wow, real estate really is the number one tool that you can use to build freedom. Our top 1%, I'd say even top 50% of wealthiest people in America, they own real estate, right? And so
Mhm.
we should be kind of taking that into account on how we run our own lives. And so many of us, like now, I just feel like we're so stuck in
Mhm.
being able to get out of that grind. And really, I feel like this is the best way possible. If you're knowledgeable about real estate and investing, it's the best way to kind of get out of the grind and the day-to-day 9 to 5 kind of lifestyle. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, like, the main thing is people these days, I mean, everybody in the quote experts, right, out there on freaking mainstream media, alternative media, that's all. I mean, let's just be honest.
It's everywhere.
paid- yeah, that's everywhere. And they're saying, oh, this isn't the time to buy. This isn't what we should be doing. You got to be careful what you're putting your money in because everything is crashing down. What do you say
Mhm.
to that?
Gosh, it's a loaded question, but here's how I break it down when I'm even like when I'm working with clients or even how I feel for myself.
Mhm.
First off, there's gonna be there's all this information out there. We live in the digital age, and then we have the news. Who it's the number one thing is, oh, it's everything's crashing in around us, and blah 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 blah. There's gonna be white noise, right? Number
Right.
one thing, number one thing, blocking all of that out is taking control personally and what your
Mhm.
own finances are first. Visually, what can you control? You can't control all the white noise that's going on around over there. And I say, as long as you can afford, you can get the loan and you can afford the monthly investment, then there's truly no other reason why you shouldn't invest in yourself and take control of your own life, because rents are going to go up anyways every single year.
Mhm.
And that way you're kind of putting yourself in the control position instead
Right.
of you know I feel like when you're a renter, you kind of do have to pay more and more attention than you do as a home owner to the market crashing, because if the market crashes, it's most likely that your rent is going to go up, you know
Right.
so
But at least, like, if you bought a piece of property, you can lock in your mortgage payment, and you're not going to have to worry. The other issue is, I mean, I rent too, and you're kind of beholden to whatever that landlord wants to
Right.
do. And with the real estate property taxes are off the charts. I mean, I'm in Washington State. I mean,
Mhm.
they've raised the taxes. It's outrageous what they're doing. And so if you're renting, it's the worst. It really is the worst situation to be in. And if there's a way to get out of that, I think that's the best thing in this.
Yeah. And also, I'm not saying, there's times when it you should be renting,
Yeah.
but you should always be aware and building to ownership,
Yeah.
So how can you leverage, basically, okay, if I'm a renter right now, then how can I leverage my position in renting so that I can eventually own and make sure to get myself in a better position. You should never
Hmm.
take out a loan where you can't afford the monthly payment, like never.
Right.
But if you're already going to end up paying that in rent, that's where it's like you might as well invest in yourself and build equity. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And too, I mean, you talked about how the top 1%, they own property. I mean, and why do you think they're telling people nowadays not to buy? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's fear tactics, so right now, actually, for buyers, there's a less pool of buyers, because of the fear, right?
Hmm.
And also, particularly probably because of the interest rate. So people have less buying power.
Right.
And so what that means is there's less competition. So if there's a lot of fear and then people are if there's less competition, that's actually good for buyers. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So
Yeah.
whereas a year before, I feel like they're doing it purposely so that if we visually see, in other words, like what the rich people are doing, they're buying property right now.
Right.
So if we're beholden to the fact of we should kind of be following along what rich people are doing, they're
Yeah.
buying property now, but they don't like the competition. So they've kind of weeded out a lot of the competition by adding fear to the
Hmm.
public, the interest rates rising, which is something that you really shouldn't be too scared of as a buyer because you're not married to your interest rate. As long as you can
Right.
afford your monthly investment, it shouldn't really affect, whether or not you purchase. Yeah.
Right, right. Well, and too, interest rates, they go, how they go higher, but then at some point they're going to go down. So then the advantage of having, let's just say you buy something now during this time frame, if it goes back down at like 2%, 1.5%, whatever it was a few years ago, then you're looking at a refi and you're going to get your money back. So it's sort of like an investment, but also sort of a little bit of it like a savings almost. Is that what you would
Yeah,
agree with?
I do agree with that. And I just also want to point out, like, with interest rates, it's about almost 7% around right now from in my market in Utah. But
Mhm.
also the thing is it used to be a lot higher, like 13, 15% interest rates. So these are really honestly pretty average. I'd say
Mhm.
5%. You know, I wouldn't say that it's like that. And I feel like they're in the media. It's so unfortunate because they're making it seem like it's so high when in
Right.
reality, it's very much pretty average. And we got super lucky with those low interest rates, you
Yeah.
know. But the other thing is when we did have those low interest rates, there was multiple offer situations. And if you were a first time home buyer, you didn't have a chance. You would have
Right.
to have, you know, you'd have to have a lot of cash to supplement the over asking price.
Mhm.
So in reality, people just don't understand that right now because we're actually in what's called kind of more of a stable market
Mhm.
more than you think. Because
Right.
for instance, my sellers are still getting a couple multiple offers. However, my buyers are able to negotiate easier with these sellers to get more off purchase price and
Right.
are able to get into the home without having to have that 50K, cash over asking price. So it's really
Right.
it's it's unfortunate that there's so many people out there, you know, scared to purchase when in reality it could probably be one of the best times to do so.
Right. Exactly. Well, yeah, and I mean, what would I mean, that's the reason. I mean, if you look at it on a strategic level, it's very smart of these elites because see, they have cash on hand. So
Mhm.
they can go and negotiate, and that's why they're doing it this way. That's why they're like putting the fear of God into people, so that then they
Right.
can go in and swoop the property. Remember what Klaus Schwab said in his book about C19, the Great Reset? I mean, he said you will own nothing and you will be happy. Well, we're getting in, and people are so afraid right now to put their money into anything, especially the other thing that I think is very important to say is, okay, we know the banking system is about to go kaput. The American dollar doesn't is worthless at this point. And so how do you get your money's worth into something? It's property. So what are
Mhm.
your thoughts on all that?
Well, it's funny that you say that too, because so the last kind of recession, housing recession, I'll use as a reference of the 2008 crash,
Yeah.
right? What happened there was, you know, okay, property values went down, and a lot of it was because, how I said, I used to be an appraiser. Well,
Hmm.
beforehand, appraisers were able to just go out to any property and say that it was worth more than it really was. Well,
Hmm.
nowadays, you have a lot of checks and balances in place where there's just no way that that could really happen again. So
Right.
it would be very hard. And in that 2008 crash, property values went down about 9%. Okay.
Hmm.
That's really not that much.
No.
And it took about, let's see, I think it was about 5 years, because 2012 is when it started to recover for
Hmm.
that 9%. So what I'm saying is that if you were, let's say we were in some kind of crazy recession and property values did go down, like, or you bought before the property's values did go down, like, it's more likely than not that it's only going to go down around 10 to 15%. And as
Hmm.
long as you're holding that property for around at least 5 or more years, it's still a great way to lock in value, because it really doesn't matter, because property values will eventually go up again. So
Right.
it doesn't matter what we go through financially. It's a hard asset that you have, and that will, no matter what, stand the test of time, you know, to put your money into.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, and that's the biggest thing. I think people these days, nobody's thinking generationally. Nobody thinks
Mhm.
about too far ahead, and they do that on purpose. I mean, that's part of the indoctrination of, everything has to be right now, and oh my gosh, if we do this now, they don't think ahead. And I think that what is the biggest thing your clients ask you about when looking at a piece of property?
I mean, gosh, a lot of things, but
Yeah.
I guess, are you asking more towards in this market when we're looking at
Yeah,
properties,
in this
or?
market, like, what are people sort of kind of questioning? What are your conversations like with them?
I think it's so much fear that I'm seeing so many buyers, back out, even if
Mhm.
they qualify for a loan, and even if they, their monthly investment is only going to be, even a couple $100s more a month than their rent, like, just because of that fear of the market will crash, and then they'll magically be able to buy property for way less. Like, it's a lot of the,
Yeah,
when in reality, it's probably, like I said, it's probably one of the best things to buy is right
right,
now. And
right.
so I just, I think moving forward, I always just try to talk to my clients and resolve that fear, because no matter what, you can't really go wrong when you are purchasing an asset.
Right. Yeah, what happens, like, okay, so aspiring alchemist, she's asking in the chat here, she's only been renting to own from
Mm,
her mom, and but she was
uh,
injured. Are there any like safety kind of fail safes for people who want to buy a house and then maybe they get injured, or what? Can you work with something like that, or what are your thoughts on
are you
that?
saying more along, I'm wondering if she's asking, like, more along the sense of, is she concerned because she doesn't have security with monthly income?
Yeah, she says here, Yes, this house was a foreclosure. Hold on. Yeah, the
In
house was
2000.
foreclosure in 2012, so her mom got it at an incredible price. And
Oh, great.
then she said, and then this is what she says: I only have a house because I have been renting to own for my mom. But once I was injured and I couldn't go back to work or any job, she let me just inherit it. So that's another thing
Oh,
that happens, you know. So what are your thoughts, like, if in fact, you know, a house goes on foreclosure? A lot of that is happening too now as well. I mean, that's another opportunity. What's your feeling about that kind of a situation?
totally. I mean, so it seems like she's secured now in that home, which is
Yes,
awesome.
she is.
That's
Right.
awesome. Yeah. And I think a lot of the things too, the most opportunity, you're saying foreclosure, but what I see differently in this market that we're in, because 2008
Mhm.
gave way to a lot of foreclosures, right?
Right.
But a lot of what I'm kind of seeing is opportunity because of those lower interest rates we had a few years ago.
Right.
People right now are scared to move because they're locked in at such a good rate, right?
Yeah.
But what a good way to kind of do it is actually if you look into kind of seller financing, because then you can still be locked into that lower interest rate we had a few years ago and leverage that instead of going through the banking system. It's a kind of a
Okay.
fail-safe way, and you work directly between buyer and seller in order to kind of both benefit off of that lower interest rate. And that's like a whole other, like, I'd have to go really delve deep into that. But
Yeah.
what I would say when you're talking foreclosures, I actually kind of see is how do you say it? The best, I'm not really seeing too many foreclosures quite yet. What I'm seeing mostly as an opportunity that's kind of a different avenue to
Yeah.
purchasing property would be seller financing because of that
Yeah.
we had and taking advantage of that.
So
Yeah.
explain what the difference is between bank financing and seller financing. You sort of touched on it, but can you kind of go a little bit more
I'll
into
delve a little
detail?
bit. Yeah, like I said, that would be like a whole thing.
A whole other thing.
Long story short is just, if you go through like an average bank, then they're going to go off of the market rates that we have right now. Where
Right.
um, basically the seller can hold the loan that they already had gotten through the bank at that
Right.
rate and hold it for the next buyer. So
Okay.
they will gain interest. So they will still charge the buyer a little bit higher interest rate than they had
Right.
loan for, which allows them to kind of get monthly income on their property. But the buyer
Mhm.
doesn't have to have those skyrocketed interest rates of the market currently. And it kind of makes it so a lot of the fees associated with, because whenever you get a new loan, like it makes it so the
Mhm.
bank that charges you all those fees, it lessens a lot of those things. So,
Yeah.
how the bank gets money, they make money every single time. You're
Yeah. Of
you're
course.
it kind of takes out the middleman and allows for the buyer and seller to kind of
Yeah.
make more money in the long run. So that's a
Yes.
whole other thing. Like I touch upon on, like I would like to do a class on that, but yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
great app to kind of start looking up, and I can answer anybody's questions specifically on that after. And like I said, I'd have to do a whole
Yeah.
video on. That's what I'm seeing is a very interesting way to kind of offset the interest rates right now to buying
Right.
property. And yeah, and I was going to say, I was going to touch upon also, people have to remember that we're in such a housing shortage in the US. Like, I think like last time I checked, it was around like 6 million, like housing shortage. Um,
Wow.
that's huge when you think about it.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like, builders are not able to keep up with the housing inventory. So
Right.
it's just, it would be so hard to kind of keep up with. I don't foresee it closing like in the next few years. So
Yeah.
what that means is that because there's a shortage, that it's a huge massive opportunity, um, for people to own.
Yeah, for sure. Hold on, I forgot to put I was just gonna put the banner up. Hold on a second. I forgot to put your banner up.
Oh, I have a
I'll get it. Yeah, I put a banner up on the bottom of it, and I completely forgot. I always do a scroll banner type thing. Okay, and then I totally sorry everybody. Yeah, it just has your website and all that.
oh,
But
thank.
they can know. Yeah. So yeah, there we go.
Oh,
All right.
cute.
Okay, so I know, isn't it good? There you go. There's your website and everything.
Aw.
Okay, so Shirley Q had a question. Let's bring that one up. Shirley, she wants to know what do you think of HOAs?
I mean, that's a loaded question because a lot of my clients, it just kind of depends on if you're talking about, oh, should I get an HOA when I purchase a property, is what I'm assuming that question would mean. And, that's kind of dependent on you. I think,
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, there's great things about an HOA and there's negative sides to HOA, but you would always have to make sure that, your real estate professional really reads over those CC and Rs that an HOA has so that before purchasing, you're very aware of, the rules and regulations when it comes to that HOA. Specifically, there's so many HOAs out there. You really have to go property specific when it comes to this
yeah,
and make sure that you're okay before purchasing property, with their rules and regulations. Is just number one is making sure that your real estate professional goes over your
right.
CRs because
And
that's a whole other contract you have to remember. Oh,
right,
you broke
right.
up.
That's separate, and that's a separate. They are HOA is like separate entity because it's wherever your neighborhood is, or if it's a condo, there's an HOA, and you're paying X amount of dollars per month. For it's basically maintenance and
Right.
upkeep and all of that. So, yeah, and like so, Lady D, she says Delphine, she was saying she never had the down payment. To That's a big thing too. Having a down payment to put down for to buy a house. She's always rented because she never had the down payment. Are there some kind of tricks to that? I mean, are there any ways that she could maybe get around that at some point?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, and it just totally depends on your market too. Like,
Hmm.
there's so many different programs out there right now, specifically for my Utah home buyers, and I'm sure that they're everywhere. Um, where you can at least do, the 3.5% down. I never claim to be because this goes into territory of what my wonderful loan officers do, and
Yeah,
they just do this day in, day out. They know the programs in and out. That's why it's so important for people to get, a real estate, and make sure that they're really delving into the needs of those things. But there's so many 0% down programs. But the problem is that I think what's so unfortunate is that people don't take the time to really look into what's available to them because you never know what is. And that's why it's really important to talk to, a lender, a real estate agent, to just even know where you're at because you never know what programs are available to you. But there's really,
right.
truly a lot of first time home buyer programs and lower down payment programs out there for sure.
What can you tell people? What should they ask when they're looking? First of all, do they need? Let's do this. I'll do this. Let's break it down. Do you need a real estate agent, or is it better to just kind of go off on your own and you know throw caution to the wind
Uh,
and deal with it yourself? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that the real estate industry, let's just get real, is so overflooded. Like you see shows like, they're
Mhm.
my favorite, but like you see shows like Selling
Yeah,
Hollywood, whatever, and I think that the market really is overflooded with real estate professionals. That's why it's so important, number one, to interview. your agent. Make sure they're serious, start asking questions, and, make sure that they have a great real estate team behind them. You know what I mean? And you
Mhm.
really should, I think, you got to interview your agent and your real estate professionals that you work with first and foremost. And then you
Mhm.
have to, I'd say the most important things to know. Okay, so for instance, you were also touching upon, should you just go with the wind?
Yeah.
The biggest mistake that people make when they think of real estate agent is that they think, oh, they're just there to open the key and show me the property. Well, the other back end stuff that a lot of people don't see, which can get, especially as a buyer, if you go in
Mhm.
there and as unrepresented and you don't have an agent, a lot of the things that you're unfamiliar with is that, it's first off, it's for free for the buyer to have
Yeah.
a agent, because the seller's agent commission from the sale of the house pays for also the buyer's commission. So for you to be unrepresented when it's basically free for you is just a huge mistake, as a buyer. And
Mhm.
secondly, you're not quite seeing where there's a lot of negotiations that happen,
Mhm.
between buyers and sellers agent that, the everyday people are mostly not familiar with. And so number one
Mhm.
thing, ask your agent is how familiar they are when they're able to negotiate contracts, and what do they do differently when writing up contracts, that will get you kind of ahead of the game. What strategies do they use? And then you will be able to tell by just those questions, okay, do they really know what they're doing or not? Because they'll be able to answer those pretty quickly on, oh, we can leverage this or that, the other, and here's how I get my clients into properties quicker. And if, they're, that's kind of, I feel like, the best way. That's the main thing that real estate agents do that you're not seeing. And as long as you're asking those back end questions of really what they do to negotiate to get them into those properties, or, and vice versa, then you should, yeah. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope I
And
answered.
what what kind of questions like would you ask? Should they who should be on their team? Why don't I ask that? Who should be on their team if you're interviewing a real estate agent? Who definitely should be on their team, number one, and number two, what is the best way, why is that so important to have
Another
one,
thing that,
you know?
yeah, and when I say team, like for instance, when I have my real estate team kind of built out, and
Mhm.
when you are interviewing your agent, they should too. So they should know you're kind of like, also as a real estate agent, you should have a lot of contacts of people that you work with to make, a purchase or a sale of a property run a lot smoother for your clients, so that they don't have to go out and find, even little things as like cleaners to clean the house. They should definitely have, you know great inspectors on hand, and you'll be able to tell pretty quickly, and also obviously, lenders number one. But if they don't have like a Rolodex of people that they work with, that's kind of a telltale sign too. Like, if you're starting, the first thing first is the lender. So if they give you options for lenders and you can kind of tell from the first conversation with the lenders that these are great people to work with, that kind of lets you know, okay,
Mhm.
they have a Rolodex of people around them, that really help to make the buyer sell of the property run smoothly.
Right. So that's great. Well, let's in closing, how would you what would you sum up in this for the climate that we're in right now? What are your final thoughts, if somebody is looking to either buy or sell? Let's do buy first and then sell later. What would you say, to somebody that is looking to buy but afraid right now? What are your do like one little kind of conclusion in this
Fine.
video here?
Final thoughts on that is just like I kind of said before, you don't know until you what you don't know. So first off, it shouldn't be scary for you to reach out to a real estate professional and have somebody that you can contact and have on hand, whether or not you buy today or you buy 5 years from now. It doesn't matter, because then whenever you do buy, the process is going to be a lot less scarier, because
Yeah.
you have your team behind you. And you also, it never hurts. You don't have to pull your credit, to speak with the lender and kind of get an idea of where you stand. And it never hurts to know where you stand, right? Because if you don't know where you're at, you don't know how to make your future better. You don't know
Hmm.
where to go from there. So I'd say it doesn't matter when you're going to buy, even if you're scared to buy right now, that's fine. It really is. It's just more, it gets less scary when you become more knowledgeable about your
Hmm.
situation personally, and then having a real estate professional to really kind of guide you along the process, and and help, yeah, basically help to guide you. So I'd say
Yeah.
just even making those first steps, that's the
Mhm.
biggest thing.
Yeah. And what would you say
And then,
to a seller right now? Do you have any final thoughts for the seller?
yeah, what's great about selling, and that's all dependent too, because it's a loaded question on what what the reason is behind you wanting to sell,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Say, right, the market isn't, you're not getting 50K over asking price, or the
Right.
market, what's great about, yeah, what's great about it is it's, and the other thing is, as long as it's priced strategic.
Up, you froze there. Uh-oh. I think she might have lost her signal. Hello?
As
Oh,
long as
there
it's,
you go. You you froze
oh,
there
did
for a minute. Can you read
oh
it? Can
no,
you restate what you said just
uh,
then?
yeah, I cut it off because I think the signal was going out. But I was just going to say, as long as you're mindful of pricing your property strategically, you should still be able to kind of get ahead,
Hmm.
and be able to take advantage of that equity. And I also say to sellers, there's always other options to, make sure that you're also knowledgeable on, okay, is it really a good thing for me to sell, or should I take out the equity on my property to purchase a new property and rent? There's multiple options, and real estate professionals shouldn't, you should be able to tell when working with a real estate professional, you know do they give you different options than just selling, whether or not you should be
Right.
working with, because you need to know about those options, because having you know having property, like we said, is just such a huge asset. So making sure
Right.
that you can maneuver it, for sure.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, I mean, having keeping property, I think is actually more important these days rather than selling it. I mean, if you can rent it out to somebody, why wouldn't you go that route? Because then you're building a residual income for yourself, and you've got this real estate thing going. I think she just faded out. I was going to ask you a couple people have some questions. Let's see if oh, there
Oh
she is. Um,
gosh, I keep breaking up. I'm like, I
I
don't know when
know.
I'm back.
Okay. Well, a couple people had some more questions. Do you want me to, do you have a couple more minutes?
Yeah, as long as I'm not breaking
Okay.
up for them, I'm fine.
I know. I don't know what's going on, but okay. Here, let's see. Shirley Q, she has a question here. She says, "Do you suggest to buy property and then become a landlord and rent it?" Okay, well, we were just saying that, so go
Oh
ahead,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a wonderful, wonderful option. And I personally, would use this over and over again. I think that too often than not, people get rid of, their properties when it's actually such a great value to them, and a way to kind of build, what is it, passive income. So for
Right.
sure, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think so too. I think, but this is the other thing. Yes, it's kind of, people look at like, oh well, if I become a landlord, then you're a landlord, and a lot of people don't want to do that. But there's other options. I mean, there's like management companies that can manage
Yeah.
your property, right?
Yeah, and that's a whole other thing too, where you're really having a real estate professional to kind of give you those contacts on the best people to help you, so that it's not
Mm-hmm.
such a mistake, while keeping your property as an investment or investing just in general. They should
Right.
have information for you to make that process easier, so that you can get the best cash flow possible.
Yep, exactly. Well, I
I'm
think
walking
that's
around
it.
again.
Let me just double check and make sure there's no other questions. I don't have any more questions, but thank you so much, Taylor. I think you did a great job, and I think a lot
Thank
of
you,
people will get
guys.
some help. So we'll.
I hope that that was helpful, and I appreciate it. And yeah, just let me know. My contact information is there with Chris. Feel free to reach. Gosh dang it. I'm breaking up. There we go.
Yeah,
Like,
you're breaking up.
okay, well, I'll let you go because I'm breaking up.
Okay, well, we'll talk to you later. Love you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. See you later. Oh my gosh. So that was Taylor. She is really, really knowledgeable. So even if you're in another state, because she's located in Salt Lake City, Utah, okay? But even if you're in another state, feel free to call her because she'll talk to you. I mean, and if you want her to look up stuff, she can still do that and help you guys out. I think too, with all the money that's supposedly coming to us, fingers crossed, I hope so, because Taylor and I, we're gonna definitely invest in some stuff. And so I think that even if you just have questions for her, she'd be more than happy to just talk to you. And I did put her links I think I did in the description. But obviously, you guys can email me as well. I mean, I'm Real World Witness at outlook.com. I guess I'll put it in here, but I do want to address something really quickly. And I wasn't going to address this because really I'm on the peripheral of all this craziness that's going on within the Soul Tribe. But I'm really disappointed, I think is a good way of putting it. If you say that you are an evolved individual, okay, and you are of a higher purpose, a higher intelligence, you have aspirations to help people, okay? What I don't like is this ridiculous scheduling thing that seems to be going on. I'm very cognitive of that. And the only reason that this show is on right now has nothing to do with individuals like, I'm going to just say Dennis, he's on live at this time. He knew I was coming on today with my niece for a learning real estate video. And I am very upset. I do not appreciate these people. I mean, I have done nothing to anybody in this tribe ever. And I'm very quiet about how I feel because I just don't want to foster bad feelings and be very dramatic and all of this. But this is enough already. My Instagram was fucked with. I have been just completely blindsided by two separate scheduling people scheduling at the same time that I'm doing something. And I am done. I'm very upset. I have done nothing but support everybody in this Soul Tribe. That includes Joe. It includes Dennis. It includes the double J, Jason Ramirez and Jason Bryant. It also includes everything that I did for Arcana Shores, for Kristen. Okay? And I was shit on, and I'm tired of it. And I didn't want to be this way and say anything or name anybody, but I'm very upset. To be sabotaged right 2 days before my book launch, I didn't deserve that. And it is a huge, huge loss for me because every author has an Instagram account and I can't do it. And I am just so upset that these people, I don't expect to make money on it off of anybody. I mean, it's just, and I've been nothing for the last year, it's been over a year. It's been a year, like, it's been about 15 months now that I started this journey, starting with Arcana Shores, giving my time for 3 hours, 3 times a week to these people. And I don't deserve the shit that I'm getting right now. I'm very upset. It's like, if you don't want anything, if you don't like me, whatever, I don't, that's fine. Turn me off. That's fine. I'm fine with that, But I do not deserve the crap that I'm getting right now. And people scheduling shit and doing stuff against my channel, my shows. I am just here to get the truth out any way I can. Do I expect to make a huge killing on? No, the book is just something I worked on for 23 years. It's 23 years of my life, my blood, sweat, and tears. And I don't deserve to have whoever is against this. I'm literally nauseous right now, so upset. And I hope to those that I named that they don't feel this as a victory, because they finally got me to out what I'm feeling. I deserve, I don't deserve the shit that's going on. I really don't. And I don't appreciate it. And for those of you who think that you are higher, more involved, I believe that you are in a world of hurt right now, because I don't know how you can say that you're godly and you're for God and Yeshua, and that you're Christian, and that you're willing to, that you're all about the ascension, if you're doing this crap to individuals within the soul tribe. We're all supposed to be united, working together, not against each other. And this is the kind of crap that goes on. And I'm done. I'm done being silent on all this. I wish everybody well. If they want to go their own way, I have no problem with that. But to purposefully start scheduling shit against my show, and I don't know what these people in the background are saying to you, but Dennis, it wasn't a purposeful thing for me to schedule it at this time. It was something, if you saw what I had yesterday, we thought we were going to do it yesterday, but she couldn't get a babysitter. So we had to reschedule her thing today. And you knew that ahead of time, and then yet you go on live right now. And you're an evolved soul? Do you know I've done nothing but support your book, putting it on my website, putting it in chat, supporting you. I've given you money for your pendulum things and all that. And it's not the money. I'm just saying, I have done nothing to you to deserve this. And if people are talking in your ear, you need to take a step back and look at the situation. Because you guys know that I am not that way. I do not I don't step on anybody's toes that I feel, is in the soul tribe. It's not the way I am. And you should know that. Joe, I have spoken to you hours. We've been on the phone. And for the last 6 weeks, crickets. And I'm like, well, by God, whatever, you guys going your separate ways. I'm fine with that. But don't fucking step on my toes. I hardly have an audience. Like, I don't even know what you're doing. It's ridiculous. It really is. Why should you trespass upon me when I'm not doing anything to you? I'm not purposefully trying to dump you, or purposefully trying to put whatever on my book so that it doesn't take off. I mean, who are you people? Seriously, you need to look in the mirror, because the way you're acting. What I always ask is, what would Yeshua do? What would Jesus do? Would Jesus act this way towards your fellow soul tribe member? No. I mean, I could say a whole bunch of stuff that has happened to me in the background over the last 15 months, but I'm trying to take the high road here. because I'm not about outing all these people. And I'm angry now because I'm trying to help my niece who has a real estate background to help the tribe give them knowledge. What the hell is wrong with you? That you can't, that you didn't see that? I mean, we're about helping people. We're not about like putting people down and fucking up their channels or so that nobody watches. What the hell's wrong with you? Go your separate ways. I'm fine with that. But don't fucking screw my shit up. I don't do that to you purposefully. I've never done that purposefully to anybody. And believe me, I could say a whole bunch of stuff, and I don't. Because it's not who I am. Not about the backstabbing and all that shit. But I called you guys out today because I've had it. It's not right. I've done nothing to you people except give my time, my energy, my knowledge for 15 months. So that's where I'm at with everything. And I'm sorry that I did this on the back of this show, but I am just so upset right now. You have no idea. I don't deserve this. It's like it would be one thing if I was purposefully going and meddling in everybody's thing or purposefully trying to do something against people, then I would deserve that. But I'm not. Just being me and doing my own little thing over here, not bothering anybody. I'm not purposefully scheduling shows against your shows. You know that. And Dennis, you're supposedly very evolved and all this. Well, what are you doing? What the hell are you doing? You've done it twice now to me. This is the second time. This isn't just like a one-off thing. I sent you an email and I said it wasn't that I was doing that. I'm just trying to get my niece help because she needed it for her boss. Has nothing to do with you or your show whatsoever. Anyway, I've had it. I have had it. We're supposed to be a unified group. What the hell is going on? I know what's going on. People of the dark have infiltrated. That's what's going on. And if you don't recognize that at this point, then I'm sorry. You've got a spell on you. You've got, some kind of an attachment. I don't know. But God help you. God help you. I mean, what happened with Lori and Delphine? I mean, are you fucking kidding me? It's outrageous. And then you're going, Dennis and Joe, you're having a show with them? If you want to go your own way, that's fine, but to not support the victim, what the hell's wrong with you? It's unbelievable. It really is. So that's what I have to say. I'm so upset right now. I mean, it's not right. It isn't right, and it needs to be rectified. And whether that means somebody apologizes or whatever, I mean, at this point, I've said all I'm going to say on the matter. I'm not going to bring it up again. But, enough is enough with you people. I don't know who the hell you think you are, but you're not of the light, and you're not of God and Yeshua, because they don't treat people that way. You do not treat people that way. And then you side with the bitches that did this crap. I don't know. I mean, you've got a spell on you or an attachment. That's what I believe. I fully believe that. Because Joe hasn't talked to me. I mean, I had talked to him. It's been about 8 weeks total. And I hadn't talked to him in about 3 or 4 weeks when he came back from whatever quote portal that he closed with these two. And now all of a sudden he's completely withdrawn from everybody, and I don't know what the hell. That it's not right that you're siding with these two bitches, and they're not. And I wasn't gonna bring it up, but I'm so upset. So upset. And then Dennis does that to me twice in 2 days. Twice. And I'm not doing it, I haven't done anything against anybody's show. I'm always very cognitive of that. But you guys purposefully did that. Purposefully. And maliciously. Purposefully, maliciously, and with forethought. And I have nothing but contempt for that type of behavior. And I mean, Dennis, I was actually going to offer to come and pick you up, and you could come and do a book signing with me in Seattle. But, screw that. Why should I help you? Huh? When you do something like this for me, to me. So that's what I have to say about the situation. And I hope that this circles around with all you little bitches. That's fine with me. Circle it around. Because I'm done. I'm done being nice. It's unbelievable to me. It really, really is. I'm so upset. I mean, that's the thing. I tried not to get involved in this whole thing. I mean, I tried to be on the outskirts of it because it's not really anything that I've been involved with, directly. So why should I say anything? But today was the last straw for me. I mean, I can only stay silent for so long. And then I'm just like, done. Yeah. It's victim shaming. This is just, I mean, it really is outrageous what they're doing. I mean, I just can't even believe it. It really does boggle my mind. Yep. Yep, that's true. That's true. But see, Joe and Dennis, they're supposedly very evolved individuals. Apparently not, because they're being led by these two bitches. So that's what I have to say. And normally I would not be involved in this type of thing or say anything, but I am completely done at this point. I'm over it. I'm over it. Being nice, and everybody steps on me. I haven't done anything to you guys to deserve it. Nothing. Except for spend my time and energy helping you, and this is the thanks I get. This is the thanks I get. I'm trying to help my niece, for God's sakes, with it really is unbelievable. I'm just so pissed. Oh, anyway, that's what I have to say for the end of this. So I guess Double J will be on in about an hour. So I will see you guys over there in chat. Yeah. The fact that this is the other thing that really irritates me is that, when somebody tells you what happened, and knowing who Lori is, I mean, and then they don't even question the individuals that were supposedly that this happened. It's unbelievable. It really is. Thank you, my lady D. I just want everybody to understand that this is the last I'm going to say about it. Whatever happens at this point. I just needed to get that off my chest because this wasn't something for me. This was something for my niece that I did today out of the goodness out of my heart, because I know you guys want to know about real estate and what is going on. And Dennis does his little stupid pendulum thingy, and it wasn't right, and I'm upset about that, and I finally just lost it. I wasn't going to say anything, but I was like, I'm done. I mean, how many times am I supposed to take the high road here? I've been stayed silent for 15 months. I could tell you guys a whole bunch of other stuff, but I'm not going to do that because that's not who I am. But those people that I mentioned today, they have issues, and I believe there's attachments on them, and they need to start looking within and think about their own ascension, because if they're doing this to me, can you imagine what they're doing to strangers? I'm just saying. So thank you, my Carrie and Mama Sabi, Jason, Lori, everybody that is watching. And I guess I will see you guys later over at Double J's Light Warrior Network. We'll be over there in about an hour. So love you guys. Thank you for all your support and your love. I really do appreciate it, and it means a lot to me. And my niece, I know she was very grateful to have you guys come on, because she was like, well, who's gonna I'm like, oh, don't worry, Soul Tribe will show up. So thank you guys for doing that for her. I really do appreciate it. And don't worry, I'm gonna cut this so that her boss doesn't see all this other stuff. I'll edit it. But anyway, love you guys, and I'll see you in about an hour. I'm out of here.